Hi, Brandt. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey.
Hey, appreciate you taking the time. Thanks for joining us.
Sure.
If anyone, do you want to start off with an opening statement or get right into questions?
No, I can start with something.
Okay. All right.
Hey everyone, thanks for being here. We're really excited about what we accomplished in free agency, the direction our roster is headed. We think that the players who we acquired are going to add to the culture of competition that Coach Canales has created. We're looking forward to the draft, obviously, but for now with free agency, we're just super excited about these players who we got. Just a couple of shout outs here. It was a great organizational effort from everybody, from the coaches to the scouting staff to our support staff. I'm very thankful to have somebody like Justin Davidoff, who helped me with contract research and just understanding what these markets are going to look like. Claire Stokes, who was incredible with making sure the trains run on time and all the logistics of bringing all these players in and getting them in and out on time. And then our pro scouting staff of Lee McNeil, Justin Burris, and Adam Maxey. They did a lot of work on the front end to help us understand what's going on around the league as far as where players are from a talent standpoint, what players could be available, things like that. So anyways, and then of course we had great leadership with Dan and Coach Canales, so we could execute their vision. So with that, take any questions you guys have on free agency.
All right. We will kick it off with Darren and then go to Mike K, followed by Alex.
Brandt, when you guys are working in the kind of volume you guys were working in the other week, how do you sort of take the emotional aspect of all those negotiations happening at once out of play and kind of stick to an absolute value on certain things?
Yeah. We do take the emotion out of the free agency room when we're making the decision, because we're able to have a very good collaborative and honest dialogue as an entire organization beforehand. So what you see with what we execute takes a lot of work, a lot of discussion, and by the time it comes time to make the actual decision, we can do it unemotionally.
Is that hard from the standpoint of when you're in an active negotiation with somebody that you obviously have interest in, to be able to kind of pull back and say, no, not right now?
Yeah, of course. It's hard to walk away from a deal. But at the same time, when we have a clear vision of what we want and we have standards as far as value and things like that, it's easier to walk away, and also it's easy to make those decisions when we have the support of leadership, which is what we've got here.
Hey, Brandt. How's it going?
Hey, Mike.
Hey, so as far as like a lot of your contracts go, whether they were re-signings or signings, they're all very heavily incentive-based, at least based on our reporting or reporting elsewhere. Obviously, incentive-based contracts aren't a new thing, but how did you guys establish your philosophy towards that kind of understanding, both sides need this to work out in order to accomplish the end goal for both sides?
So with the incentives, what we try to do with the incentives is, okay, here's the base of the contract, whatever it is, and this is what we expect out of that base level of compensation. The incentives are, if he exceeds what we're expecting, then we're going to be willing to pay for it to an extent. So it was a give and take, and some of it was also just the market. So understanding that in free agency, hey, this player has this offer, that includes incentives like this. You know, if we want to acquire this player, we're going to have to go there.
And then you had a couple of safeties in for visits earlier this week. Obviously, you're probably not going to want to talk about an open negotiation, but what do you guys look to get out of those visits from your perspective, whether it means signing a guy or not signing a guy?
Yeah, just how they fit with our coaching staff and just getting to know the person a little bit better. You know, at this point in free agency, players are signing for opportunities. So let's all make sure that we all agree on what this opportunity looks like.
Hello, Brandt.
Hey, Alex.
Hey, man. There were reports at the beginning of the legal tampering period that y'all were in on a deal with Milton Williams. It ultimately fell through, but I'm curious to see how you reflect on that.
Mm-hmm.
And is there any part of you that, after you look at the huge contract that Milton got, it kind of presented itself as an opportunity? Okay, we didn't get him, but we got this opportunity to fill so many other holes with that money that we would have spent on him.
Yeah, so in free agency, things tend to move fast, and so we have scenarios planned out ahead of time as far as acquiring this group of players, that group of players. So when the Milton thing didn't go our way, we were just following a plan, and even during the what do you want, if you want to call it a frenzy, whatever it was, we never felt like we had an agreement with Milton. Like his agent never gave us that indication. So we were just operating our plan, and we were going through our process and talking to all the different players and just trying to take the resources that we had and put them to the most optimal use.
Got it. And then I wanted to talk about another defensive lineman, Turk Wharton. You have experience with him in the Kansas City organization. Just simply put, what do you see in him? And do you have any cool Turk stories?
Yeah. So as far as a cool Turk story goes, Turk went to Missouri Science and Tech, which was a small school in Missouri, and we signed him in Kansas City during the COVID year. So there was no preseason, there was no visibility into what was going on our practice fields, and so before training camp even started, we said to ourselves, okay, like if any of these free agents really show out well in camp, like we could probably get them through to the practice squad. They're unlikely to be claimed because nobody knows if they exist. And Turk was so good in camp. I mean, he was so clearly one of our best players that we couldn't do it to the rest of our roster and have any like semblance of credibility with our team if Turk didn't make our 53. And so that's just the kind of person and player he is, that he went in, he did the work, he performed. So that was exciting. But as far as what we saw here, Dan and Coach Canales can speak to all of the football evaluative pieces of it. All I know is that when I have our pro scouts coming into my office during the season asking me about Turk and what's he like and what do I think he's worth and things like that, and then after the season, I got Dom Capers and Todd Wash coming into my office asking me about Turk, and I got EJ stopping me in the hall asking me about Turk. It's very clear that there was a lot of love for him and a lot of excitement about him.
Wonderful. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
All right, we have time for a couple more. We'll go to Joe Person, followed by Mike Kay and Phil Orban.
Hey, excuse me. Hey, Brandt, thanks for doing this.
Hey, Joe.
I jumped on late. Apologies if you addressed this, but a number of your contracts were set up where that third year there's not guaranteed money. How much of that was with an eye on, possibly reaching that stage with Bryce's contract where, you're going to be extending him around that time?
The contracts that we did, we actually think too much about Bryce and where he is. I think that's still TBD. I mean, we're super excited about Bryce, but for us, it was just about doing market deals. So the length of the deals were whatever they were, and the guarantees were whatever they were based on what the market was dictating. And so typically with 3-year deals, you'll have the first year and a half, 2 years, depending on the size of the deal and the quality of the player, that are going to be guaranteed, and then the third year is almost never guaranteed. So we were just going to the market on that one.
Did you address earlier JC's negotiations?
No.
Curious how those went with David's his guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How did that go? And it was obviously a big contract. What sort of appetite? Clearly, y'all did the deal, so you had the appetite. But were there any reservations about going as high as you did?
We are extremely excited to have JC under contract. I won't get into the specifics of the negotiation, but from our perspective, we just really wanted to get the deal done before free agency, so we knew where we stood from a cap perspective, and we could spend our money appropriately. And then, as far as like the decision of extending or not extending JC, we got to a point internally where we said, okay, here's a player who worked his tail off to be healthy for most of the season, got a little unlucky towards the end, was able to play in the Pro Bowl, and how do we want to go about this? Like, this is a core player for us. Are we going to bet on JC or bet against him? And so we elected to bet on him, and we're extremely excited to have him here for the next 5 years.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Brandt. From a wide receiver perspective, we're seeing kind of the market explode. Obviously, T. Higgins getting a lot of money, then Stephon Diggs getting 3 years, 69. Obviously, being reported that way. I'm curious how you, as the guy who has to look at all the timelines with Dan, looks at the money allotted to that position in free agency and trades and all that stuff, balances that with the value of wide receivers in the draft and having 9 picks.
Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to answer with specifically receivers. The thing that Dan and Coach Canales and I talk about a lot is just adding impact players to our roster and paying them accordingly. So regardless of position, like we're looking to add really good football players who make an impact on the game, on our team, on our culture, on our community, all of those things. And so if it happens to be a receiver, then great. If it happens to be a safety, then great. Like whoever it is, we're going to be interested in acquiring them.
Hey, Brandt.
Hey.
You'd mentioned the value of the collaboration between the three of you, yourself, Dan, and Dave, and you also talked about the emotion of this period. And I'm curious how important that collaboration, that communication is between the three of you to keep that emotion out of it, especially in your role with that sort of eye on the numbers and down the road.
Yeah, it's critical, and it's built on trust, and it's built on respect and communication. We have all three of those things together. All three of us do, and I'm very fortunate that they let me in, at that level, because there are organizations who do operate a little differently than that, and I think it helps us make really good decisions. And I just can't speak highly of both of them as leaders and people.
Thank you.
All right, we have time for one more, so we will finish off with Jeff Hawkins.
Greetings. This is Jeff Hawkins from the Charlotte Post. I was just wondering if you could address the salary cap situation for the remainder of this offseason, but more importantly, where it stands next year and the year after. Thanks very much.
Yeah. Hey, Jeff. So right now we have a little bit of room to spend. not a lot. So, I think we're going to be very intentional with how we spend our money here going forward. Not that we weren't before, but, I don't think you'll be seeing us bringing in 5-10 guys a week. And, as far as next year and the year after goes, we have a lot of flexibility. I don't know where the numbers exactly stand, but we're pretty excited about the ability to keep our core players, to add others, and just continue to build this thing.
All right. Thank you so much for taking the time, Brandt. Appreciate
Thanks, everyone.
you.
Brandt, you want your notes?
Hi, Dan. How are you?
Hey, good. How you doing?
Doing good. Would you like to start off with an opening statement or get right to questions?
Sure. Obviously, we're excited about the guys that we acquired in free agency. We were able to retain some of our own, and then we extended JC. So we were, happy to get all those deals done. Really excited, about getting the new players in here in the building, in our locker room, around our players, just for them to establish chemistry together and get going. So we're really excited about these new guys. I think what we did in free agency, it's really going to allow us, to have some flexibility in the draft of what we do in the draft. I think obviously we're going to be aggressive to get some playmakers, whether on the offense or defensive side of the ball, like I said before. So we're just really excited about the direction that we're headed as a team, as an organization. I feel like things are really trending in a good direction, and I'm really excited. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions.
Thanks, Dan. Yeah. We will start with Mike K, followed by Alex, and then go to Darren and Sheena.
Hey, Dan.
What's up, Mike?
Thanks for doing this. When you guys look at free agency as a whole, I know you said you're excited about the guys who weren't here. Was there a particular position or a particular aspect of the plan that didn't kind of come, full circle for you guys? And is that an opportunity now in the draft to go and attack?
Yeah, I think we pretty much hit on all our targets. Obviously, the Milton Williams thing that fell through. We're really excited about Turk and what he brings. But yeah, we're excited about those guys that we signed. I do think it's going to allow us to be flexible in the draft. But like I said before, we were going to build our defensive front. I think we did that. We signed 3 guys there. So I think at each level, defensive line, linebacker, on the back end with Trevon, I think we addressed some needs that we have. We're far from done. There's a lot of work to do. And we're excited about the draft. We have 9 picks, and we're going to go attack it.
With that safety group, you've basically got a clean slate. Obviously there's a lot of holes there. Having the guys come visit, how aggressive do you plan on being at safety moving forward? And do you kind of have to weigh having limited experience there if you do go all in on the draft?
Yeah, there's obviously you guys saw that we brought in a few veterans. There's a few guys on the street that we like, that we think can help us. We'll see what happens there. In the draft, I think there's a good crop of safeties there too. So, we know that that's a position that, we need to address. The numbers aren't where they need to be there. But we'll get there, and, we just got to stay patient, stay with the plan, and let it happen.
Good morning, Dan.
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, man? So you mentioned that this free agency period allowed you to have a bit more flexibility going into the draft. It's no secret, this was a very defensive free agency. Am I right in saying that those words indicate that maybe you're going to use a high pick on a wide receiver? I don't mean to put you on the spot like that, but just how much has your free agency plan affected what you need at wide receiver?
I don't think it's affected it that much. I mean, like I said to you guys before, we're going to take the best players. So however that ends up on the board when it comes to pick 8, if pick 8's an offensive guy or a defensive guy, like we're just going to draft the best player that we feel is going to help our team, help our organization moving forward. And, we're really not going to box ourselves in with, any position or any need. I think that's when you get yourself in trouble, is when you do those type of things.
And then you mentioned really building up that defensive front. One guy that has kept cropping up, at least as we've talked about him, is Bobby Brown, the third. What made him such a compelling free agent target?
Yeah, I think, first of all, I think you look at his age, he's still so young. I think he's 25 years old. 25 years old. He has a lot of versatility, from a position standpoint. He can play the nose all the way out to the four technique, 5 technique. So I think he's really valuable in terms of, securing our interior run defense, and making us stronger on the inside. And that's why we bought him in. I do think he has some pass rush upside as well. That's a little bit untapped. So looking forward to getting him here and him developing and showing us, what he's got.
All right. Dan, you mentioned the Milton Williams thing. What's that process like when you guys are going through free agent meetings of, okay, we like this guy at this level, and if it gets to this point, then you do some other thing. What are those meetings like, and what goes into that process?
Yeah, I think when myself, Brandt, Coach Canales get together, we're obviously talking about who we think can help our team, and then money always comes into play, right? So, we're gonna put a number on it. I just think it comes down to us 3 communicating. Just being detailed with the plan, being disciplined with the plan, setting a number that we're comfortable at, and then, hey, if it gets to that number, and we can choose to go over or we can choose to stay. So, but I think we come in with the plan, and then I think we stay disciplined with that plan, and I think that's key, going to be key to our success moving forward, is just having that discipline.
Do I just start talking? Oh, okay. Good morning, Dan. I know Alex kind of touched on it as far as your free agency plans at the wide receiver position. As you saw some of those bigger name, high profile receivers sign elsewhere, how deep into negotiation were you with those guys? And is there a name still out there that you guys could be targeting for that position?
Yeah, I think with every position, not specific to wideout, we're going to look for the best players. If we feel like a player's out there that can help us, then we're going to look into it. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the guy's a fit, and sometimes he's not. So we're going to explore every avenue to get better at every position, not just the receiver position. And, that's just how we're going to be moving forward.
All right, we will move to Joe Person, followed by Mike Kay, Cassidy Hill, and Phil Orban.
Hey, Dan, how are you?
Joe, what's up, man? How you doing?
I'm good, man. Thank you. Back on safety, do you feel like, based on where the numbers are, that you're going to end up having to address that again in later free agency and the draft?
Again, I don't really want to, say our plans out here loud, but, I think that's obviously a position that we need to address, along with a lot of other positions. So we know there's a lot of work ahead, and we do have a plan, just not going to relay that plan right now.
With Morig, obviously had a very successful year playing closer to the line of scrimmage. Is that your vision for him? And if so, would that put you in the market for kind of a back-end ball hawk?
Yeah, obviously, it was our plan, collaborating with the coaching staff, Coach Canales, EJ, just us talking through things and what we need. We felt like Trevon was going to be a really good fit. He can play deep. but he's also really good, moving him up into like the nickel position. You can do a lot of things with him from a run defense standpoint, from a blitzing standpoint. So yeah, he brings a lot of versatility that we really liked about him. So, but yeah, in terms of a ball hawk on the backside, yeah, we're going to look for somebody. We're going to look for players that take the ball away. Who that is, I don't know. But we're actively, pursuing, and we'll be aggressive when the time comes.
And then last thing from me, could you address what those defensive tackle signings do for a guy like Derek Brown and Ashawn, for that matter, in the kind of bigger picture?
Yeah, I think it's good. Obviously, the more depth that you have, on the defensive side of the ball, on the defensive line, you can have a healthy rotation inside there. It's going to keep guys fresh. It's going to keep guys healthy. And that's our goal is to get a front that, is able to, be a bunch of great players up there that are going to be able to rotate, keep each other fresh, and play hard, play balls to the wall every single play.
Hey, Dan, when we talked to you in Indy and we talked to Dave in Indy, Dave indicated that he wanted guys, obviously at the bottom of the roster, to be able to play special teams, as everybody does. But when you look at your returner units and you look at kicker and everything, on day 3, how important is it to kind of address those positions in general?
Yeah, you talking about the special teams?
Yeah, kicker and returner and I
Yeah.
guess gunner as well.
Yeah, I think day 3, returner, kickers, yeah, that's usually where you're going to get guys like that. But that's also where, we have to look at, is it a safety? If it's a safety, that's going to be our, third, fourth safety, can he play special teams? So that's going to be big, for all those back end guys. If they want to make our roster, they're going to have to play special teams. But it's up to us to identify those guys.
And then you also said you guys really were looking forward to a center competition. You've obviously re-signed Corbett. Brady's back. You've got the tender on Cade. Everybody else is kind of spoken for, but how do you feel about the competition at that position moving forward?
I think it's good. I think it's healthy, to have competition on your team, not just at the center position, but I think we want to have competition at multiple positions, and I think that's what we're trying to get to, is to where our roster's deep and guys are competing, and may the best man win.
Hey Dan, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Obviously, last year in free agency, like when you look at the offenses, particularly the line, you were going for size. When you were looking at these defensive guys this year, was there a common thread you were looking for? Was it size? Was it speed? Was it just willingness to throw themselves into a pile? What was the common thread?
I think ideally, you want those, big, long, strong, physical guys. It doesn't always, turn out that way. Maybe they don't have the height, but hey, they're strong, they're physical. They have other redeeming qualities, that can outweigh, a lack of something. So, yeah, we're just looking for guys that compete, guys that are tough, and guys that play 100% every single play.
Hey, Dan, Brandt said some organizations don't give as sort of significant of a voice to his role in some of these free agency discussions. I'm just curious, like, how important is he? I'm thinking specifically of like the Milton Williams situation, where like you really like a guy and he's saying this is going to be the impact 2, 3, 4 years down the road on the salary cap to maybe keep you guys a little bit more disciplined.
Yeah, he's staring at me right now, so I gotta be careful what I say. But no, Brandt's obviously he's super valuable. To have him work next to me on a daily basis, side by side, with myself and Coach Canales, it's extremely valuable to have somebody like him. Just kind of give you the pros and cons of every decision that you make. From a financial standpoint, it's huge. So to have him, we're super lucky, and it's a group effort.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, we have time for a couple more. We will go over to Gabe McDonald.
What's up? Good to see you, man.
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
Doing good, doing good. So obviously, running back position, a lot of changes there. To take me through, maybe some insight on the decision to, part ways with Miles Sanders, but also the excitement of bringing in a guy like Rico Dowdle, coming off the best year of his career and the 1-2 punch he can have with Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, we're obviously we're really excited for Miles and his new opportunity. It also bought us Rico Dowdle, who we're super excited about as well. I think he's going to bring a physical run style similar to Chuba, and that's kind of the DNA that we want on that side of the ball. So we're excited about both those guys, kind of a 1-2 punch. They both can catch the ball out of the backfield. They can both pass protect, and they're both obviously really good runners that we're excited about.
Any other questions for Dan? All good? All right, thank you so much for taking the time. Appreciate you.
All right, see you guys. Thanks.